My friend Barry Thomas and I went camping at Shenandoah Lake in Virginia several summers ago. After we had set up our tents, I had the duty of gathering firewood. Unfortunately, it had been raining and everything was wet because of the rain. I gathered the driest wood I could find, but it was so wet we couldn't get it to burn. We wanted a campfire, so I decided to drive back to the entrance to the campground, to the Ranger Shack, to see if the Rangers could point me to where I could buy some firewood. On my way to the Ranger Shack, I noticed another campsite from which it seemed the campers had recently left because I saw a hint of smoke rising from the campfire. Well, that wood must be dry, I said to myself. So I pulled in and grabbed from the smoldering campfire, I grabbed a log by its cool end and threw it into the bed of my pickup truck. I drove the mile or so down to the Ranger Shack, and when I stopped at the Ranger Shack, I noticed an awful smell and I saw smoke. Oh no, I thought, the Ranger Shack is on fire. And then I looked into my rearview mirror, and it wasn't the Ranger Shack on fire. It was the log in the back of my truck. As I had driven to the guard shack, the wind had ignited the embers of that log, and it was burning along with the rubber lining of the bed of my pickup. I put the fire out quickly, but the melted rubber in the lining of that pickup truck was visible till the day I sold it, a reminder of a day when I saw smoke and flames and assumed someone else had a problem, when in fact I had a problem. May I explain that again for clarity? The ranger was a lady. She came to the door of the Ranger Shack as I saw smoke, and I thought to myself, that lady has a real problem. Maybe she did, I don't know, but what I thought was her problem, the fire, was in fact my problem. I was the one who had messed up, had made a bad choice, and the smoke was from my fire, not from someone else's. Reminds me of a strange story from the Bible. In Genesis 38, we read that a man named Judah found out that a young lady named Tamar was going to have a baby, and Tamar was not married. Judah demanded judgmentally and unsympathetically, "Bring her out and burn her." Then Judah found out that the baby was his. He was condemning an unmarried pregnant woman when he, in fact, was the father. There was that night just a few weeks earlier when, well, you know, and Judah had to admit the smoke was from his own fire. He was judging the young woman and ignoring his own sin. Welcome to TV, Tennessee Valley Church. This week we are in a courtroom at the former Federal Courthouse in Huntsville. Listen to this story from John chapter 8, one of the most beautiful stories of all the stories about Jesus.
Then they all went home, but Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. At dawn, he appeared again in the temple courts, where all the people gathered around him, and he sat down to teach them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought in a woman caught in adultery. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. In the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. Now what do you say?" They were using this question as a trap in order to have a basis for accusing him. But Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. At this, those who had heard began to go away one at a time, the older ones first, until only Jesus was left with the woman still standing there. Jesus straightened up and asked her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," Jesus declared. "Go now and leave your life of sin."
Jesus was teaching when he was interrupted by a big commotion. Coming toward Jesus was a group of Pharisees, ultra-conservative religious leaders. They were dragging with them a woman. They threw her callously to the ground right in front of Jesus, said they had caught her in the act of adultery. These pious-looking religious leaders demanded of Jesus, "The law says, stone her. What do you say?" It was the perfect trap. On the one hand, if Jesus said stone her, then his reputation as a merciful and gracious friend of sinners would be ruined. On the other hand, if he said let her go, then it would look like he was soft on morality. Jesus knelt down and began doodling or writing or something in the sand. Then Jesus uttered one of his most quoted lines, "Let the one who is without sin cast the first stone." One by one, this self-righteous circle of charlatans slowly slithered away. Were the Pharisees wrong to say adultery is wrong? Of course not. The problem was the stones in their hands and the skeletons in their closets. Remember, the Pharisees were not wrong to say adultery is wrong. The problem was the stones in their hands and the skeletons in their closets. Which brings us and to our role in calling out immorality in our culture. First, we'll never change the world with stones in our hands. If we're always casting stones, we become known only for what we are against, and we lose credibility. Second, it's awfully hypocritical to assume someone else's public sins are somehow worse than the skeletons in our own closets. It's a terribly phony, self-righteous thing to think our secret sins are somehow not as shameful and bad as the public sins of others. The problem with the Pharisees was the stones in their hands and the skeletons in their closets. Jesus looked up and asked the woman, after the phonies had fled, "Did those men not condemn you?" "No, sir," she answered. "Then I don't condemn you either," Jesus said. "Go and sin no more." Go and sin no more, meaning you deserve better. You deserve better than being someone's cheap thrill. You deserve better than living down to other people's low expectations of you. You bear the image of my Father. Jesus saw something in her she must not have seen in herself. I love the story of Don Quixote, the man of La Mancha, the eccentric gentleman who, convinced he was a knight, set out with his companion Sancho to right the world's wrongs. Along the way, Don Quixote met a young woman named Aldonza, a damsel with a wild life. Don Quixote saw past the rough exterior, the foul language, and the bad reputation, and he gave her his own name for her, Dulcinea, sweetness. To others and to herself, she was Aldonza, the tramp, the cheap thrill. To Don Quixote, though, she was the beloved Dulcinea, and with a new name came a new life. In the stage version of the story, as Don Quixote lay dying, she knelt by his bed and told him how special he made her feel. "You spoke to me and everything was different," she said. "And you looked at me and you called me by another name. Dulcinea, Dulcinea," she said. "Once you found a girl and called her Dulcinea. When you spoke the name, an angel seemed to whisper, 'Dulcinea, Dulcinea.'" Don Quixote saw something in Aldonza that Aldonza didn't see in herself. He saw who she could be. Dulcinea. Jesus said to the woman caught in adultery, "I don't condemn you." That doesn't mean Jesus did not condemn the act of adultery. "I don't condemn you," Jesus said. Have you seen houses that are condemned condemned means this place is off limits, dangerous. Condemned means filthy, of not any use ever again, something you don't want to associate with. Condemned means stay away. I've known people over the years who felt they had a big condemned sign around their necks. So hear me now. Whatever the source of your shame, you are not condemned. You are not condemned. You are not condemned, Jesus said. You are not off limits, dangerous. You are not filthy, of no use. You are not defined by your worst decisions. When God thinks of you, He does not think of that night or those nights, the tapes of which are still playing in your mind and making you feel so badly about yourself. You are not condemned. I don't condemn you, said Jesus. Now go and sin no more. She still would have to face her husband if she had one, explain to her friends, overhear the whispers. People would still stare and point. By some, she always would be known as the woman who got caught in the tent with a man who was not her husband. But in the eyes of Jesus, she always would be the young woman created in His Father's image. When I come back, I'll tell you about missing a turn and what that has to do with this story.
When the day is over, no thoughts set in. That's when I start to wonder, where do I fit in? But then you remind me, how you're holding me tight. Say the past is behind me, it'll be alright. And you say to me, it'll be alright.
Sitting in the silence with these insecurities, it's then you remind me you're holding me tight, and you love me completely. You're always by my side, and you say to me, it'll be alright. It will be alright. It will be alright. Oh, it will.
I know you're not a God out there hiding on mountains. No, no. You come right where I am, lost my way, but you found me. Like the rain in the dark on my ugliest days, you say that you'll always love me just the same. And then you remind me that you're holding me tight. You said the past is behind me, and it will be alright. Oh, and you say to me,
It will.
it'll be alright. It'll be alright.
The Place of Grace is a nonprofit, faith-based, in-house recovery program for women. Jocelyn Edmonds is the founder and director. Welcome, Jocelyn.
Thank you.
This has been a dream of yours for years, and finally it's come to fruition. Tell us what you have going on there now.
It's actually a dream and a calling on my life. And we have a home that will house 15 women, and they come to the program. They have to come in clean, and they come in and they go to work. We provide all their meals, all their hygiene. It's solely off of donations. That's how we operate, is donations. We're not grant funded or anything. But the women, they come in and they immediately start counseling and life classes and biblical classes. Every day but Sunday, they're doing classes. They're in church with me and my family, my husband, and on Wednesday and Sunday night. And we just love them. And it's just an amazing opportunity to be able to turn their life around in a Christ-centered facility.
I remember talking with you years before the Place of Grace opened. You were already helping women.
Yes, I have been doing it for a long time out of a vehicle. And the Lord, in May, just give us a home, and it's beautiful. And He has got big plans. He's got big plans for the Place of Grace that nobody even has any clue about. So I'm excited.
Jocelyn, your background sets you up perfectly to be the director for this program. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been clean since November 5th of 2012. And the Lord has just equipped me, and He has allowed me to go through the valleys and be on the mountain to be able to work with these women. And it's been a long time coming. He told me in 2013, when I graduated the program in Birmingham, that I would run a women's facility, and I had no idea what that looked like. But here we are many years later, and we're actually open and running, and it's just amazing, just loving on these women.
So many success stories. I love looking on your social media and just seeing the ladies who've gone on to have productive jobs and just reunite with their families.
Their children, yes. The Lord has allowed me to help over 3,000 women. I always say it's not about the number, but that's a lot of women. I can remember praying one morning and asking the Lord, just put somebody before me, and that has been, almost 3,000 women ago. And it's amazing to be able to use what the enemy meant for evil. Like he meant to take me out, but um, because of the Lord's restoration and His mercy and grace, I'm alive to be able to help these women.
Travis's message today is about second chances.
Yes.
He talks about the Pharisees brought the woman who was caught in adultery to Jesus to be stoned. And of course, Jesus said, let who has not sinned cast the first stone. It's easy for us to look down or condemn people who sin differently than we do.
And and that's what happens with these ladies. All the people that remember about them is their past, and their mugshot or what they've seen, when they've been on the most wanted page. I've been there, and and I realize that not everyone wants help, but the ones that reach out for help, like, we have to be willing and able as Christians. That's what we're called to do, be disciples and lead, guide, and direct them to the Lord. And I say this, and if you don't get anything else, I need you to get this, that it's not about getting sober. It's about a relationship with the Lord and leading them to Christ and furthering the kingdom of God. Because if we can help guide and lead them to the Lord and give them the tools that they need, they'll stay sober, through Christ. And I strongly believe that.
And I admire you and celebrate with you how God gave you this second chance to reach out, save
Jesus specialized in giving second chances to people like the lady in today's story, people who had taken a bad route. For example, to Matthew, who had chosen to collect taxes from his own people for his own enrichment, Jesus said, "Follow me." To Peter, who had committed the shameful sin of denying he even knew Jesus, Jesus said, "Follow me." To a rich young ruler whose wealth and piety were obstacles to genuine faith, Jesus said, "Follow me." One Thursday morning, several years ago, I was up before 4 a.m. to drive our then 17-year-old daughter, Brennan, to the airport so that she could catch an early morning flight. She was going with our church's high schoolers on a mission trip. We took the Pocahontas Parkway to the airport. You've got to be careful when you're headed east over the bridge on the Pocahontas Parkway because that exit to the airport comes up really quickly. I missed it. Then I was terribly frustrated because I was afraid I'd make Brennan late. It was a long way to the next exit. I knew I'd have to drive a long way before I'd have a chance to turn around. A legal chance, that is. Up ahead, I saw the opening in the median, a place to turn around, but it was marked for emergency vehicles only. I knew I shouldn't. But I could see the headlights of only one car headed in my direction. He was far away, and so it was safe, and the chances of that being a policeman were slim. So I turned around where I shouldn't. Yep, soon the dark skies were illuminated with blue lights, and I was sitting on the side of the road. The trooper came up to my window. I told him I was taking my daughter to the airport and quickly added she was going on a mission trip with her church. I thought maybe that might help. Thankfully, he let me go with a warning. So I pulled back onto the highway, intending to take the exit to the airport from the other side. I mentioned that the exit is easy to miss if you're headed east. Well, it's easy to miss if you're headed west, too. And I did miss it. The trooper, the policeman still behind me, turned on his blue lights again. I pulled over again, and he pulled up beside me and rolled down the window on the passenger side of his cruiser. "Did I miss it again?" I asked. "Yes, sir," he answered, shaking his head. And then he said, "Follow me." He took me to the next emergency vehicles only turnaround where he pulled in and motioned for me to pull alongside him. Sitting there in the median, the officer gave me specific instructions, speaking very slowly. "Go right up there," he said, pointing. "Look for the airport sign." I did, and made it to the airport in time. "Follow me," said the policeman. "Follow me." That was Jesus' invitation too. To people who had taken the wrong routes, follow me. Jesus still whispers the same thing to people in plush offices and in trashy back alleys, in poor neighborhoods and in suburbia, in lonely dorms, bedrooms, and hotel suites. Follow me, not with condescension or shame in his voice, not with an "I can't believe you made the wrong turn again" look on his face, but with all the love and tenderness of one who would lay down his life for you, and did. If you've made a few wrong turns along the way, says Jesus, I don't condemn you. Follow me.
Surely your goodness and loving kindness will follow me all my life. Surely your goodness and loving kindness will follow me all I shall not want when you are my shepherd. I shall not want. Surely your goodness and loving kindness will follow me all my life. Surely your goodness and loving kindness will follow me all my life. When you are my shepherd, I shall not want. You are my shepherd, I shall not want. Even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for you are with me. Even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for you are with me.
Hi everyone, I'm Holly Canup, Minister to Median Adults at First Baptist Huntsville. We are folks in our 40s and 50s, married, single, and empty nesters. We'd like to invite you to any of our in-person studies, small groups, or social events. Check out our website or email me at holly@fbchsv.org for more information. We look forward to building community and growing our faith together with you.